Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an element of the race we might look back on later as having been key to finding the winner. Well, on Sunday it's obviously we're going into International Week next week, but this week no stars but plenty of winners to be found. Race 6 is the first one we're going to look at, and the winning factor here, the venue. Now, no superstars amongst them, but an interesting enough contest in Class 3, and a last start winner at the course and distance. E-Star looks one of the main hopes. Ka Ying excellent for Joao Moreira is going okay, and we have good chances amongst 3 runners moving from Happy Valley to Sha Tin, Igniting, Chicken Dance and Leap of Faith. And Igniting ran well at his Hong Kong debut at Happy Valley, and he has blinkers going on, which he wore to good effect in Australia. So he's certainly one of the contenders here. But I want to take a closer look at 2 other horses moving from Happy Valley to Sha Tin after, well, let's say they were terrible performances at the Valley. Now this is race 174, and in the pink and blue colours on the inside you see Chicken Dance, the outright favourite for this race, gets outpaced to get back in the field. There was a strong lead pace, as you see on the heat map, but you can also see that throughout the race, Sha Tin is riding him along at quite a few stages, and he's still back there on the home turn. Then he does make up some ground in the home straight, but basically gets past nobody and finishes 11th. Now, what's good about that, you say? Well, I'd answer nothing. But we have to think about these things in a little bit more detail. Chicken Dance had not been to Happy Valley more than once before. That was a barrier trial 18 months ago. And Sha Tin told the stewards after the race that the horse was basically unbalanced the whole way around. So perhaps he had an excuse on a couple of scores there at the Valley. And then there's Leap of Faith. And we're going to take a look at his latest run, and this is a problem of a different kind. This is race 220, and he hasn't really had things fall right for him in 3 starts there, and in this one he pushes forward in a race over 1650 metres. You see him in the blue and white colours as he gets hung out to dry working around the first turn. And if we look at the heat map, that's the section of the race that was the fastest of the entire contest. He does eventually get over to follow the leaders, but the damage was done early and he fails to finish off, finishing in 9th position. And as I said, Leap of Faith's other 2 starts at Happy Valley, things didn't quite work out, and that's the Valley. You have a bit of luck, it's worth a fortune there. If things don't work out, it can all go horribly wrong. So we've got 2 horses coming as favourite chances on Sunday after finishing nearer last than first at their most recent runs, and I thought it might be a bit of a lark to have a look at performances by trainers with horses which have basically failed at their most recent run. And if you take a look at this graphic, we've got the top 10 trainers with horses coming off finishes of worse than 8th. Now, there are many reasons why a horse might fail, and I've suggested a couple with the horses we're talking about here. But there are many other reasons, so it's hard to read an awful lot into this, but we'll see that John Size has the best strike rate with these last start failures. Good news for Leap of Faith, while I do think punters should definitely take another look when Casper Founds and Danny Schum have last start flops, as they significantly outperform the market expectations at their next run. So to the map for Sunday's race, and here I think things are going to work out a little better for both of these horses. We have 3 clear speed players. Smoothies and Igniting, as I said, now in blinkers, will work forward early, and I expect Joe Moreira to ride Ka Ying excellent with some purpose from an outside draw, as he has been riding the horse, so the pace looks genuine enough. And for the drop back to 1400 metres, I don't think we'll see Leap of Faith up there contending for the front this time, but John Size has put blinkers on him to keep him sharp, and I think he and Chicken Dance will both sit closer and probably just trailing these leaders as those front runners keep each other busy. So the tip in race 6, Leap of Faith, his winning factor, the venue. I think both he and Chicken Dance are going to stage form reversals here, moving from the quirky track at Happy Valley back to the big track at Sha Tin. But I think, as we saw, John Size has a better than average strike rate with these horses, improving off last start failures, and I think that gives Leap of Faith the advantage. The other race I want to take a look at is race 7, and here the winning factor, the pace. And we have a couple of last start winners competing here in Casemiro, coming back from 1600 metres, and Diamond Rhyme back to the 1400 metre course where he won. Win-Win 33, he's down in the weights and has a chance, but importantly with a better draw this time. And the horses who will be the focus of most attention here, two promising maidens in My Sugar and Cheerful Days. So let's take a look at why My Sugar and Cheerful Days will be the favourites for this race on Sunday. Well, first of all, we're going to go back to race 150. This is a month ago when My Sugar was the beaten favourite behind Rhapsody over 1200 metres. And he's in the grey colours, and you see he's slow to jump for Zac Purton. But I think it was not so much that as gate 9 that forced Purton's hand tactically, and he has to go back to midfield to get the horse in too wide. And this was a stop-start race. He pulled a little bit, My Sugar, when the pace went out of the race. And then the leader quickened around the circle, the 700. And coming around horses, you see My Sugar gets to the outside in the straight, finishes off strongly, but just fails to get to Rhapsody, who was also running on, but he had an inside draw and was able to cut the corner. 2 weeks later, we saw Cheerful Days, also a beaten favourite for Zac Purton. And as we take a look at the replay, this is race 188. And he too was not the best away from the gates. You see him in the green and white colours. And then Purton rides him along to keep up fairly early. But looking at the heat map, it wasn't easy to keep up. The leaders got into a battle for the front in the early stages, and the pace picked up sharply after the first 200 metres. So he ends up in midfield, still a touch outpaced even when the leaders steadied down, but he runs on well for second and a fair way ahead of the remainder. So they are both lightly raced horses on the way up the ladder, and I think that's where the race is going to be fought out. But we made the winning factor here the pace, and not for nothing. You don't see many races set up the way that this one does. As we take a look at the all-important map, well, you sometimes hear the expression, a race devoid of pace. Well, here it is. This is filled with horses who not only don't lead, most never get near the lead, and many of them are chronic slow starters as well. An exception, Diamond Rhyme, just off the lead, winning last start, and crucially, also raced outside the leader when he was just beaten at his previous start, 1400 metres, from the same draw he has on Sunday, 14. So despite that outside gate, if he wants to lead, I think he will. The guessing game is who ends up where behind him. Some of these horses will be closer in running than they have ever been, and there's a lot of potential here for horses to be ridden out of their normal pattern, which sometimes works and often doesn't. From gate 10, I think Cheerful Days is really going to need some Morera magic, as we've not seen much speed from him so far. But My Sugar, well, he didn't begin the best last time, but he had jumped well prior to that, and I think he has the speed to use the advantage of gate 1. Maybe the question mark over him is how well he will relax for Karis Teton, ridden a little bit positively, but the pace in the race certainly looks pedestrian. So the tip in race 7, My Sugar, his winning factor, the pace. He looks the one best placed to take advantage of what looks a very slow pace and a difficult map for his arch rival. Well, that's it from the winning factor for this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.